Hello, and welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host
EGO.
CGO, or George. We're releasing this 23rd of May, 2026. Quick reminder, like and subscribe us. We release every day on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms. In the news for Friday, we had the England squad announcement. A lot of these controversial things we already knew. Thomas Tuchel talked through about all these on the press conference. Probably the biggest surprise today, because we had confirmed Maguire out the previous day. The biggest surprise today was Jordan Henderson got in over Adam Wharton and James Garner. But there's some other controversial decisions there as well. In other news today, Roberto De Zerbi, I believe he let all of the injured players off, and then Christian Romero went off to Argentina, which is not something that flew well with the squad, and there's rumors about him not being the most disciplined player. There's people complaining about that for his captaincy. George and I will talk through that. And then this has been rumored for a while. This was confirmed today that Michael Carrick was given a 2-year appointment as the head coach of Manchester United. He's been very successful since January, but he only had one game a week since January, and next year we know they'll be back in both cups. They'll be back in the Champions League. It will be difficult. George, let's talk through Michael Carrick first. This was not unexpected. This happened. What do you think success looks like for Manchester United next season?
Well, next season is going to be a different kettle of fish because this season, remember, Manchester United, they are only playing the Premier League because they were out of all the other competitions they were involved in. So they had less game to play. But, since Manchester United didn't play the Champions League this season and then they are going back to the Champions League, I'm sure a lot of their fans are excited about that. When you consider the kind of emotional pain many of them went through when Ruben Amorim was in charge of the team. So I understand the way a fan will feel when they notice their team is back to the Champions League. But again, next season is going to be different because they have more games to play because they'll be playing the Champions League, they'll play in the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and then the Premier League. So that is 4 competitions. It's not going to be easy for them. Players will be faced with fatigue, and a whole lot of factors will come into play. So now Carrick will be assessed on his ability to manage the squad in ensuring that Manchester United are very competitive next season, especially across all competitions. Because if you are not competitive and then maybe you start having poor results, I'm sure a lot of these fans will start calling for his head because most Manchester United legends, the likes of Gary, yes, a
Neville,
lot, the Gary Neville and the rest of
Rio
them,
Ferdinand.
they were not really comfortable. Manchester United giving the permanent position to Michael Carrick because they don't really
First off,
trust him.
George, who cares what Gary Neville has to say about Manchester United? Gary Neville is a great player, a legend, but he is a failed manager. He did not do well at Valencia. I think he might have went to one other club. I forget. I know he failed at Valencia. I mean, I think he has a very valid opinions at the sport. Obviously, he played at a much lower level than either of us, and his opinions on field tactics. I think he's very insightful. When it comes to running a club, I have felt that Gary Neville speaks pretty confidently for somebody who, how do I say, again, wasn't a very good manager. And Carrick, I think he'll struggle through that. I think he'll manage it. I think that the fans, because Manchester United really hasn't had consistent finishes the last 10 years, I think they'll be more forgiving. I think 4th and a cup run will be fine for Manchester United. I don't know what cup it'll be, but I think just getting Champions League stability will be what Carrick's floor is in terms of this is okay. And that's a pretty low floor for Manchester United, who, again, 15 years ago was winning the title every other year. So it'll be interesting. What are you saying, George?
I think if he can maintain maybe making the Champions League, maybe top 4, top 5, and then maybe he's able to win maybe one of the domestic cups next season, I think a lot of fans will be happy with that. That's what I feel. He has to prove a lot of people wrong who are still doubting him because there are still some people who are doubting his ability. So he has a lot to prove to them that he's the good. I mean, is the right person for the job. So
I,
that
I
is the
doubt
point.
I doubt that he can be this Arne Slot or Klopp or Arteta or Pep figure that wins the league and creates this team that's one of the best. I do feel like he can be this figure that, again, grants stability in terms of Champions League. I mean, Ole got Shakhtar again. Um, he got outclassed several times tactically, but he also again got second place in a very difficult league. He had some, I think he had another third place finish. He qualified for Champions League 2 out of 3 years, I believe. Um, that's what kind of I feel like the measuring stick should be for Carrick.
But Joe, don't you think somebody like Michael Carrick would need time, just like Ateta had so much time at Arsenal? Because Ateta has been at Arsenal, I think, since December of
2019.
2019. So you can see it took him almost about 7 years before he was able to win a league for Arsenal. But one good thing he did was making sure at least they got back to playing the Champions League.
Yeah,
So that was a very good. I think it took him about 2 3 years before he was able to achieve that, which was a good one for him. So if
I think
Carrick can also do that, go ahead.
I think he could need. I think this team and squad could use 5 years in order to get to the champion, in order to get to be a champions level. I do think that this squad can, with the right coach, be stabilized at fourth and fifth, that level, and then while they build up the talent, they need to make a run to be able to have the full squad that Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City has, that they can make theoretically a run in all four cups, or all three cups, and the league, which again is very difficult to do. I think takes years of good management, good ownership, all in sync. And Carrick, I feel like there's a much different skill set than just winning once a week, which is what he was tasked with this past 6 months. I think it's a challenge for him. I doubt him, but I'm heading into it with an open mind. George, let's move on to the Christian Romero situation. Again, there's been rumors about him for years where he is not the most disciplined, the best leader. This whole situation strikes me as, if there's smoke, there's fire. This hasn't been confirmed, but I feel like there's been a whole lack of discipline in the Tottenham team, not just Romero, but I just feel like this doesn't reflect well on him. What are your thoughts?
Christian Romero, when it comes to discipline on the pitch, he doesn't have a very good record because this guy, since he joined Tottenham, I think that is August of 2021, he has gotten a total about 6 red cards in all competition, 4 in the Premier League, and then 2 in other competition, I think the Champions League. So it's not somebody who has a good record when it comes to Tottenham. And even before he came to Tottenham, he had about 3 red cards when he was still a player of Genoa and Atalanta. So this guy has discipline issue when it comes to the pitch. And when you see somebody who is a captain, you expect him to be more disciplined on the pitch. This guy, I don't see that kind of discipline in him as a leader. And then your team is struggling for relegation. We know you are injured, but at least somebody who is a captain who has the interest of the club at heart. I think one of the best thing the person would have done is to stay back and try to encourage the players that will be playing to see how they can win their last game against Everton. But this guy has traveled to Argentina. Now, the excuse they are giving is that, oh, it's part of the rehabilitation. But why can't that wait till the league ends before you? So, one thing I've noticed is that Romero doesn't seem he has the love for Tottenham. I don't think he has passion. The signs are already there that he wants to leave the club, and these are
Yeah,
indications that
he,
he's no
he's
more interested in the club.
he's a player I look at and I get frustrated. I get frustrated with players who clearly are very, very talented and don't have discipline, don't have heart, don't have mentality. Like, these things are cost nothing for you to do. And again, if Christian Romero did that, the sky's the limit in terms of his capabilities. I think he'll get signed by somebody, but like, if he really wants to leave, but nobody's going to throw 50 million at a guy who abandons his team, a guy who gets red cards, a guy who again checks out when his team needs him most, which I feel like he's done all season. I just really soured on him. I would not want him on my team. I think this whole Tottenham team needs leadership. There's rumors about Andy Robertson going there. I think that would be a great move for Tottenham. if they stay up and Robertson goes there. I think that that's the type of leader they need. And I just think it's, even if he's not as good as he was 5 years ago, he's still above average Premier League left back, and that's the type of leader they need. And there's, and you see on the pitch, you see both Romero, Van de Ven, both checking out, being nonchalant about. It seems like they're not caring. I feel like this is a greater reflection of the whole locker room and lack of accountability for years in this club. But I think it's just a bad situation in general.
So when you see fans be furious about such behavior, you don't blame the fans because they've not really seen much commitment from this guy. So
No.
his attitude, the way he behaves shows you he's no more interested in playing for the club. And from all indication, I don't see him staying at the club at the end of the season. It's most likely he will leave. That's why he doesn't really care staying back to watch or to cheer up the players so that they can at least get a draw in their last game against Everton, which will help them escape relegation. So for me, it's not a good example he has shown as the captain of the team. So if the fans are angry, I don't blame them. They have every right to be angry with him.
Yeah, this is not some, I don't know. This is something the fans. Yeah, I always sometimes criticize fans for getting angry and impatient with managers or players, but this is a situation you should get mad. This is lack of professionalism. This is lack of discipline. This is the type of thing. This is basic, like showing up to. You need to show up to work. Like if I didn't show up to work, I'd get fired. Doesn't matter how good of a performer I've been. So would you, George. This is, I feel like, embarrassing.
And what even got the fans angry is that there were reports that he's going to watch his childhood club play a game. So that is even more annoying for the fans that you are
Yeah,
going to watch a game. So how do you explain that to your fans? Sometimes some players need to be very sensitive the way fans who pay so much to come and support you, because without the fans, you will not be popular.
the
The
Tottenham
fans are the ones
fans
that
put money in Romero's pocket. You are right, George. Let's go on to the England team selection. We talked the other day about Harry Maguire getting selected, not getting selected. There's several defenders in that group. John Stones is probably the most controversial center back over Maguire. Let's skip over that. Jordan Henderson was selected over James Garner of Everton and Adam Wharton of Crystal Palace. And this is causing controversy because Jordan Henderson is going to be 36 this summer. And again, people think that James Garner and Adam Wharton are better players. None of these players are starting. Their starting is probably going to be Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham in front of them. That's their three-man midfield Tuchel is most consistent with. But, George, do you feel like there's rhyme and reason to Thomas Tuchel? You watched him as Chelsea manager for years. Like he's usually has his reasons, even if they're somewhat odd. Like, but he what do you think about him as a manager? Do you feel like he's thought this through?
Well, one of I'm thinking the reason why Thomas Tuchel took Jordan Anderson, I guess, is based on experience. Maybe he wants leaders in his team, the presence of leaders. I'm not expecting Jordan Anderson to maybe be a starter in this England squad at the World Cup. So what I'm thinking is maybe he chose him based on the fact that he wanted somebody who is like a leader, somebody the players can listen to, somebody the players can respect, even though he's not going to be on the pitch most of the time, but at least he can motivate them, he can guide them on things that should be done, especially when they're in camp. But the reality is, if you look at the stats of Jordan Anderson compared to somebody like James Garner. James Garner had a very good season with Everton because somebody who had played about 37 Premier League games, he has scored 2 goals, he has 7 assists. And then you look at Jordan Anderson. Jordan Anderson has played 31 games, only scored 1 goal and 3 assists. So in terms
You
of
know,
creativity, yeah.
I watched every single Brentford game this year. I might have missed one. I forget. Jordan Henderson's been fantastic. I watched several Everton games. He's a James Garner's a fantastic player. I watched several Crystal Palace games. Adam Wharton is a fantastic player. One thing that Jordan Henderson does that James Garner and Adam Wharton do
Adam
not.
Wharton.
Adam Wharton, yeah, that's what I said. It's similar to Jorginho. Is that you watch them play he's yelling and pointing at every single player, and he's almost like he's two of them. One of them is just like this walking robot that just looks at every other player and yells at them, tells them to get in position, and one of them is playing with his feet and kicking it around. And Jorginho is very similar. I saw Jorginho in person. He was almost like a puppet master for Ross Barkley, telling Ross Barkley where to go. And as soon as Jorginho goes off the pitch, Ross Barkley is clueless. And Ross Barkley is faster, more technical, stronger than Jorginho. Jorginho is smarter up here, and honestly is a guy who, again, tells all these players where to go. Same with Luka Modric last year at Madrid. You watch him play, he's a guy who tells everybody where to go all game. He has head on the swivel. He sees one guy out of position, he yells at him. Everybody respects him, knows it. The other team is scared. The other team's like, how the heck does Jordan Henderson or Jorginho know exactly what's going on? Like, and if you don't play and if you don't go to the games, like, you don't understand how valuable that is to, like, have a guy like that who's always on. Like, Jordan Henderson is like controlling everything when he's on the pitch. And there's certain players on our team too that, like Michael Coyote, every single time he messes up, like, Jordan Henderson goes over and gives him a hug. Like, we have other players yelling at some players respond better to that, and some players respond better to yelling. And Jordan Henderson gets that because he's a leader. And that type of stuff goes far. Jordan Henderson, if he doesn't play, he's not going to cause drama. He's not going to, he's, like, if that stuff goes really far. When, I don't know Adam Morton. I don't know. I don't think Adam Morton or James Garner would, but Jordan Henderson definitely won't cause drama. There's a reason that so many coaches trust him. I believe that if he gets one appearance, he will be the most tournament appearances for England in history. I think he has the most tournament selections in history with 7, even though he missed the last Euro. He's been fantastic for Brentford all season. He captained one of the best teams in Premier League history. He's 36. Like, he can't play 90 minutes, 60 games a year, but, like, if England's up 1-0, you want to bring on Henderson. With 20 minutes left in a closeout game, you want to bring on Jordan Henderson because, again, he's that type of player, and you can't quantify that. You can't put that in a FIFA rating or a TikTok video, how he does that. You just have to watch and see it, and once you see what he's doing, it's really incredible. Sorry, that's a rant.
Joe, what you've said is just the truth. Those guys we've mentioned, James Garner, Adam Wharton, these guys are very good players. But the difference between them and the guy called Jordan Henderson is when it comes to leadership, when it comes to a player other players look up to, they have respect for. That's where the difference is, because I don't see a James Garner trying to control other players. He doesn't command that kind of respect. But this guy commands a lot of respect. He has done so much for the English national team, even at club level. He has done so much. So when it comes to that ability to control the other colleagues, I think that's where he has that edge over these two other guys. And like we keep saying, everybody cannot make the squad. Some people just have to be dropped out based on some other on some factors.
There were some other selections that were also a bit controversial. Like, Jude Bellingham's the starting guy at 10. They're also bringing in Eze. I'd have to look. They're bringing in Eze, Morgan Rogers, Kobe Manu's in the squad too. So I have to imagine that Eze and Morgan Rogers, if Tuchel is looking for a one like for like substitution, and they're sticking with the 3-man midfield, that Eze and Rogers would substitute Bellingham, and that Mino and Henderson will substitute Anderson and Rice. Like, people are criticizing other players, like, but you can only have 2 backup number 10s. Like, there's 3 players for that number 10 position. There's only so many spots in the team.
Yes. For me, the only person that I felt a bit bad for not making this English squad is just Harry Maguire. Every other person, I don't think they have every reason to complain, because the players that he chose, they are one of the best England has currently in terms of form. Those guys are in form. The likes of Kopama are not in form. The likes of Euphodium has not been at his best. He has been on and off this season. And apart from that, he has not really had it so good when it comes to playing for the national team. So when you look at it, I think the man tried as much as possible to be fair to the players he has chosen. That's just the truth. But honestly, you can't satisfy everybody.
Tuchel, as a manager, is somebody who he has a consistent philosophy, and he's going to stick by it, and he's going to explain it in press conferences. He's going to explain it to players. Players respect that. I think that he's stuck with it a little too hard at certain points, and ownership has gotten frustrated. But he has a philosophy in terms of team selection, in terms of how he wants to play. That's how he selected this squad. He's been pretty consistent over the last year on that, and I feel like the squad reflects that, and he was consistent today. I think he's a fantastic manager, one of the best managers at the international level. I think he's almost too good to be an international manager. I think he would, a lot of clubs would snatch him up right now. But I think he'll do great, and I think it'll be really interesting to see what they do. George, let me close out with our standard questions. Number one, what do you think about Jordan Henderson in the squad? Do you think he should have gotten in over the two names we talked about? What about Morgan Gibbs-White, who got snubbed? Do you feel like he got snubbed? Do you feel like it's Eze? Who do you think should get out for him? Was it Eze or Rodgers? Let us know your thoughts on that. What about Harry Maguire? We talked about Harry Maguire, but that's really interesting too. Do you think Christian Romero will be at Tottenham next year? This is a question for everybody. And what do you think success looks like for Manchester United next year? Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for listening.